And you, this is kind of a short story. Well, I'll give you some of the stories of one of my kids actually put me on to this. I didn't even really know what narcissism was at the time. I was kind of had a gross misunderstanding of it, but um, I got hurt and mad for a long time and this and that. But I feel like you have to look at it as um, I have multiple sclerosis, and sometimes my wife won't have empathy for that because of the situation we're talking about. So I kind of have had to try to learn to look at it the same as she has a something that she can't control. She could get help, but she doesn't want to do so far. But I'm gonna go through a few of these. So the narcissistic injury that I caused, I found $40,000 in credit card debt that I didn't know we had, and we had made a deal about some stuff, and that deal was broken. And then I started checking her on money, and that's where things kind of started to fall apart in our marriage. And that's when she started to discard me. She went on vacation like 14 times in 2 years. That's when I was talking about. She started going to church in Denver, so I'd only see her like one day a week, and it was hands off the whole time. I couldn't get any type of affection. There was always some circus act I had to do to get affection. And that the other thing, the video I told yesterday, I guess not yesterday, but the other video I put about the quitting on life, that conversation we had, that was just her projection. Like I said, I gassed her up when I found that credit card debt, and then she quit her job. She was CEO. She'd built a great company with her partner. She called her brother from another mother, quit him, quit our marriage, quit paying her bills, and pretty much just kind of quit everything except going to church, and that's really it. But blame that on me. As you can see, it was forever projection. I could give you a million examples of that. And this is where I found a little bit of grace. She can't help but see me as a bum because of my disease. She thinks that she truly believes that I'm just a sucker and have quit on life in her head, and blames me that I'm no longer her I don't know, whatever she looked at me as, but can't be out there to celebrate her. So that hurts her ego a little bit, and I'm not a good supply anymore. So this is what I was talking about. Narcissism is not a conscious choice, but a result of early childhood experiences. I'm not gonna put her business out there. I would never do that, but I know some things that could have definitely been the core cause of this. Yes, when a narcissist feels exposed, they will often call other narcissists. That's something that she's been doing quite often lately. Her calling her old partner a narcissist. And the funny thing is that the reason we separated, she'll talk about her business partner, and she'll be explaining the exact same reasons why I separated in our marriage. It's mind blowing sometimes. Make you feel like you're crazy. A narcissist will punish you for being honest. That goes back to that conversation. I could give a lot of other examples. I'll just stick with that one. When we were talking about the kids, I was honest about my health. Like I said, we had all those kids in foster care, and I said she would have to do it like I was dead. And boy, did I get punished for that. That honesty got me my feet whooped. A narcissist will rarely apologize. We got to see an example of that in that call as well. The old "I'm sorry you feel that way." That's the closest I'm ever going to get to an apology, except for one time she called me crying from Las Vegas, and I thought my prayers had been answered, but I've been told I'm sorry maybe 4 times in 17 years. I'm not even exaggerating. A narcissist made a claim they've always known God. I was watching her testimony one day at church, and she claimed that she had known God since she's a little girl, which she may have, I don't know. But I found that to be kind of interesting, considering her behavior between the time she was a little girl and until now. We all make mistakes, but just so I looked it up, and every time I see something weird, I look it up, and it all seems to lead back to this path. Sorry. So this is another one. If you were able to go on her Facebook, the Jekyll and Hyde, she used to extra it out with me. It made me sound like I was way better than I was, and that I was her dream, her answered prayer. God had sent me to her. And as you could see, if you've listened to that other video, she doesn't seem to think that way about me anymore. Silent treatment, that was constant all the time. Anytime I said something that went against her, whatever narrative she had going on, I would get the silent treatment quite often. That was always weird to me before I even knew about this condition, to be in our 30s and 40s given the silent treatment, and us being believers. You don't go to bed mad and all that. It was just strange. This is the one that always gets me. This is one of the excuses that I wouldn't go to therapy. I am a negative dude. I'm a pessimistic dude for sure, but her version of negativity is anything I say, like I said, that disagrees with her narrative. If I tell her that she, something that's physically impossible, if she plans on working 25 hours in a day, and I tell her there's only 24, that would be an insult to a narcissistic injury to her, to things like that. Really, the smallest things can trigger it. It's pretty crazy, and I feel bad for her in that sense, to be so wired, so hot. You know what I mean? And this was the one I asked first started asking for not separation, but therapy in 2017, I think. And I first sent her, I asked numerous times, and then I finally gave her an ultimatum 7 years later, and I gave her a choice a couple months to decide if she wanted to go to therapy or do separation. And she not only chose separation, but she gave up pretty much everything we had built rather than stand in front of a judge and possibly face a bit of accountability. That's when it showed me that this was a serious problem. I still have everything we got in the separation. I've been keeping it for us. I hope that she'll come back and it's still ours, but we'll see what happens. We already talked about this. I'm sorry you feel that way. You got to see that one in action. This one was weird. One day I prayed for her. I sent her a voice message with a prayer, and she called me back offended about it, like mad that I was praying for her. And so I Googled, just because I was praying that we would get, whatever, on some of our flaws, that we would get better, and that sent her off, man, sent her into a bit of a rage. That's why I Googled this one. This one is the hardest to beat, because I do truly believe my wife believes in God, but I've studied the Bible pretty heavily, and if it doesn't agree with what the Bible says, then that's out for me. And it's always with her, God is in control. If it's for her narrative, God is in control. Like if I wanted her to do something, God is in control if she didn't want to do it. But if I leave the curtains open, she has to go shut them. And if I tell her, why are you worried? God is in control, that would start a fight. It's just, and God told me that's how do you win that argument? You know what I mean? I think a lot of people do that beyond NPD, but that's been a battle that is real rough. This one is another one. I've went through this 1,000 times, not 1,000 times, but 3 or 4 times. Every time that we'll get into it deep, she'll say that no one understands her. It's changed from one of our kids to another one to one of her friends to only this person understands me, and went through that cycle 3 or 4 times as well. All these screenshots, this turned me into a detective. I started, not because I was trying to prove I was right or wrong, but I thought I was starting to lose my mind for a while, and everything just became so contradictory, and all the future faking. We were going to do this, she was going to do that, and I was in this blender that I couldn't get my way out of, and I just started taking screenshots. I thought I was going crazy, and turned into a very weird situation. I won't say I'm not weird for it, but I was in a strange place. And then that's all the ones I gathered. I could get a lot more, but those are some with examples. And my advice would be, you have to protect yourself, protect your heart. Don't allow yourself to get in a blender too much. But try to give them grace and understand that it's not coming from a personal place. And that's about all you can do. And pray that they can find a way to get some therapy, and don't let people tell you that they can't be healed. I'm not saying my wife has been healed, but I've seen cases where people have made great recoveries and are functioning very well. And so we'll see. I'll keep sharing a little bit of my story as it plays out. I've been in therapy for like 1.5 years now. It took me a long time to get here, but I'm finally starting to get a little better.